Well, these and much more coming ahead in the news tonight. With me, Fatu Elika Malushi. Many thanks for joining us. Well, it's good to have you here with us. We begin this bulletin with the presidency. His Excellency the President Adama Barrow Friday left for Accra, Ghana to attend the 59th ECOWAS Heads of State and Government Summit from the 18th to 20th June 2021. Samuel Bass saw the president off on departure at the Banjul International Airport, and he now reports.
President Adama Barrow left the Banjul International Airport around 12 noon for Accra, Ghana, and was seen off at the foot of the craft by the Interior Minister Usman Sonko. The Gambian leader is expected to join several other West African leaders for the 59th ECOWAS Heads of State and Government Summit. The meeting is expected to deliberate on important regional matters, including recent political and security developments that continue to threaten peace and stability in the sub-region. The West African leaders are also expected to look at the programs and progress made towards institutional reforms by member states. Also key on the weekend's agenda for the West African leaders is the ECOWAS Vision 2050 agenda, key to the realization of which is women and youth empowerment. The Gambian leader said he is looking forward to a successful meeting.
Our expectations are very, very high. I think there are a lot of positive things to discuss. But as a bloc, I think coming together and discuss our issues, sort them out amicably, I think is important. We will discuss the single currency. We will discuss about the reforms. We will discuss about Mali. I think these are the main issues that we are going to discuss. But I think I spoke to some of my ministers who are there. I think everything is positive.
It is certainly going to be a very engaging weekend for the West African leaders as they brainstorm on strategies and initiatives for the development of the continent. Samuel Bach, GRTS.
Meanwhile, President Adama Barrow has arrived in the Ghanaian capital, Accra, for the 59th Ordinary Summit of ECOWAS. The summit comes barely 2 weeks after West African leaders held the extraordinary summit to discuss the crisis in Mali. This summit will focus on security, the COVID-19 pandemic, regional integration, among others. Mamadou Diallo is in the Ghanaian capital and sent us this report.
The 59th Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of State of ECOWAS is expected to open here in the Ghanaian capital, Accra. His Excellency the President Adama Barrow will arrive soon here at the Kotoka International Airport, where he will join 14 other West African leaders for this summit here in the Ghanaian capital. The first to arrive for the summit was the President of the Republic, His Excellency Adama Barrow, whose plane landed at the Kotoka International Airport at 3 p.m. He was received by the Ghanaian Minister of Water and Sanitation, Christian Adaba. The President was welcomed by an honor guard mounted by elements of the Ghana Armed Forces. After the usual airport ceremonies, President Barrow, accompanied by Minister Adaba, had a brief stop at the airport presidential lounge before leaving for the Kempinski Hotel. However, President Barrow made a brief stop outside the airport to greet members of the Gambian community who lined the road waving posters. Presidential motorcade later made it through the busy Accra road to the hotel, where the summit is expected to open tomorrow. Mamadou Diallo,
GRTS News.
Well, still on the executive, the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, paid a courtesy call to the Vice President of Turkey, Fouad Oktay. As Louis Mendy reports, the closed-door meeting discussed bilateral ties and mutual relationship between the two countries.
The day after the Africa Invest Forum in Istanbul, Turkey, Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure flew to Ankara to meet the Vice President of Turkey, Fouad Oktay. The closed-door meeting discussed bilateral cooperations in the areas of agriculture, education and technology.
We were able to follow up on matters that came in 2018 when His Excellency President Barrow led a high-powered delegation to come here, and there were issues of education, health, agriculture, technology, defense, and also other development issues that we need to, in terms of also migration and so on. You know, you have a very large population of Gambians who are here, about 400 of them, with also students like 300 who are currently benefiting from Turkish scholarships, and so many other things that relationship between Turkey and Gambia. It was a very constructive discussions because we were able to reflect and appreciate some of the efforts that were done by Turkey in terms of supporting us with budget support for 500 million, as well as also the scholarships that were given to Gambians, the support that was given to the health sector during the COVID crisis. We have vaccinations, we have PPEs, you have also TICA coming up with other support to civil society organizations. As a result, these are all part of the partnerships between Gambia and Turkey.
The two vice presidents also discussed cooperations in the ferry services and how Turkey could further share expertise as the Gambia prepares to host the 2022 OIC Summit.
This discussion also centered on more development. We are going towards the OIC, and you know Turkey was at one time responsible for the OIC and it was handed over to us. So we have to discuss and learn from their experiences and see how best we can forge partnerships. At the same time also, since there are bilateral discussions going on and also the private sector engagement, the Gambia is engaged in trying to negotiate for certain support that is needed for ferries and so on. And Turkey has a good experience in running ferries, and I was given the opportunity after the meeting to visit the NECMAR company that has actually received the Gambia Maritime Authority and some other technical people to look at what is the offer there, and I am really very impressed. Those were the matters that were discussed.
Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure says he also discussed migration with the Turkey Vice President Fouad Oktay as a closed-door meeting took place the day after Dr. Aissatou Toure met the Gambian community in Turkey who shared their challenges with the country's number 2, among them the renewal of residential permit.
The other thing I want to raise here is that we were able to meet the Gambians in Turkey, those who are in the university and also the Gambian community. We had good discussions and they expressed appreciation of how they are being treated in Turkey, but at the same time also there were challenges, and these were the challenges that we have brought forward to the authorities to consider and see how we can address them, since migration is a development issue, and to see how best we can manage the process effectively. So these were part of the things that I came along with the Minister for Education, Health rather, and also the Minister for Agriculture. They also had some bilateral discussions that were dealing with their fields of engagement. I am going back home with quite a number of projects that, even though some of the ministers were not here, but it has implication for their projects and the advancement of the development that they are dealing with Gambia. For example, you have higher education, you have basic and secondary education, the fisheries department, and also specifically the science and technology advancement within the framework of how we can move the Gambia towards that.
Siri Modou Njie, the Gambia ambassador to Turkey, also attended the closed-door meeting which took place in the presidential palace.
The Vice President also has expressed to the Vice President of Turkey the profound gratitude and sincere and appreciation of President Barrow for the invaluable support that the Republic of Turkey has been rendering to the Gambia over the years. The meeting today, it's a very important one. and very fruitful for both countries. And I hope it is going to be a challenge for me as ambassador also to start working on those takeaways from the meeting.
The day-long engagement, which also discussed cooperation in the area of defense, also took Vice President Dr. Issa Toure and the Gambian delegation to Aselsan, the Turkish military plant established in 1975 and soon become a global technology company that contributes towards the safety and quality of people's life around the world. But its principal aim is to make the Turkey military independent and also support their allies. Impressed with what she saw, Vice President Dr. Issa Toure said it would be good if Turkey could help the Gambia with some of the military equipment to help strengthen border security and the Navy for surveillance at sea. This, he said, are challenges of the Gambia government. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Now, in another development, the National Association of Cooperative Credit Union of the Gambia on Thursday kick-started a two-day conference for volunteers and managers on the theme Tackling Emerging Challenges for Credit Union Sustainability. Khadija Bokum has the rest of that story.
This is the first movement of the credit union in the Gambia, bringing together managers and volunteers in a conference to create understanding and cooperative solutions in tackling emerging challenges of the National Association of Credit Unions. Fode Sanyang, General Manager of NACUC, says this couldn't have been possible without the willingness and dedication of members.
A committee comprising of NACUC and CU managers was tasked with working out the logistics of organizing this event, including the funding model. When the budget was presented, it almost looked impossible due to the high cost associated with organizing such a conference. And in fact, it was going to be the modern editions. The theme for the conference was carefully selected, tackling emerging challenges for credit union sustainability. We are currently tackling the challenges of COVID-19 through proactiveness and sound management practices. Both the EPEX and the credit unions have not contract loans from any external source. All the shocks caused by COVID-19 have so far been tackled internally.
Babukar Diouf, General Manager of the Teachers Credit Union and a facilitator of the Product Development Group, mentions how this will help in enhancing the work of the union.
To bring these two sides together in a workshop like this, in a conference like this, is an opportunity in my mind to help both sides understand how we need each other, how it is impossible for one side to make a credit union function without the other playing their role. The governors, those who are in governance, have a responsibility to ensure the instruments that managers use are apt, they are relevant, they are conducive, and that they provide the inducement and incentives required for managers to feel happy and capacity as well, that we the managers are provided the tools we need in order to be armed adequately to be able to steer the credit union movement forward.
Dauda Kujabi is the chairperson of Task Force for Managers and Volunteers of NACUC.
Our expectations are numerous. They are huge in the sense that we all know capacity building in any profession can never be enough. We have the feeling that our members they deserve better from us, they deserve the best from us. This can only happen when we have the right skill set to be able to deliver to our members. In these coming 3 days, we expect our movement will have a good network. There will be understanding between the managers and the governors who are the board of directors.
The 2 days conference comprises of 3 working groups: productive development, governance in credit union, and ICT, security and system fraud detection. Reporting for GRTS News, Khadija Bokum.
Now, in a move, officials of the UNFPA and partners continue on their campaign on reproductive health in rural Gambia. The sensitization forum is aimed at enhancing the understanding of people on child marriage, violence against women, amongst other issues. Kenyata Juara tells us more.
UNFPA and partners on Wednesday visited Kaurjane Kunda and Balangar in the CRR to sensitize community members on female genital mutilation, child marriage and violence against women. Speaking to GRTS on issues of their 12-day I Am for Zero campaign, the NYC Gender and Health Program Officer Barry Job said the campaign is geared towards fighting all forms of violence against women and girls in particular.
Today's activity at Janekunda, Kaur Janekunda, is a community gathering. We gathered women of different ages to discuss with them on gender-based violence, the objectives of the campaign I Am for Zero, and also to sensitize them on the need to screen themselves on cervical cancer.
A program officer at the Girls Agenda, Sari Babaji, said they are partnering with UNFPA to support vulnerable girls at the puberty on hygiene in schools.
I am here as a partner to work with UNFPA to raise awareness about menstruation and menstrual health hygiene among adolescent girls and school authorities, and then also sensitize these adolescent girls about gender-based violence and the impacts of gender-based violence. So I believe these girls have a lot to benefit from these sensitizations. For example, the menstruation and menstrual health hygiene component that we are doing in schools, most of the girls openly talked about the challenges they encounter.
Welcoming the idea as a brilliant gesture, the Alcalo of Janekunda, Seni Jane, said it will help his community. Ramu Sonko of UNFPA pointed out their commitment in fulfilling the 12-day I Am for Zero campaign.
We hope to achieve great results by ensuring that the community members understand what we represent, understand why UNFPA is in the Gambia, and understand our key mandates. Because without the understanding, we will not achieve what we want to achieve in the Gambia and also across the globe. So that is really one thing that is really crucial.
Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tujuara.
Now, the Katong Ward Development Committee under the Brikama Area Council recently held meetings with stakeholders for their upcoming donor conference. The forum seeks to address some of their challenges and chart a way forward. Senabu Jane has the details.
The Brikama Area Council, National Disaster Management Agency, National Road Authority, and the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy took part in the donor conference, where the Councillor for Katong Ward deliberated on their proposed projects and areas of intervention to be funded. The Ward Councillor of Katong shared that key areas such as health and infrastructural development need support from these partners.
But going through the 5 priorities that I identified, like priority number 1, which is electricity and a borehole. From there, we want to look at the issue of water supply. We have communities within Kato Ward that are still drinking from open wells. From there, we go to road infrastructure. On that, we know very well NRA is here with us, and they are doing good. They are striving very hard, looking at what is going on across the country. There are certain routes linking from communities. Example, the route linking Brikama, coming to Kasakunda, coming to Busranding or Nyomfele Madina, coming to Nyomfele, Kunkujang, then Gunjur.
As part of the engagement, a video documentary put together by Gunjur Online Media was later played to highlight the areas of interventions to the stakeholders. Being partners of development, the Deputy Chairperson of the Brikama Area Council, Ismaila Jallo, reminded the Katong Ward Development Committee of their support.
We are cognizant of the fact that Council, being a service delivery institution, is obliged to respond to the needs of the public for the creation of better and enabling living environment. In this regard, we are tirelessly and compelling ourselves to ensure this. What it costs not to be an illusion, to pursue and to never be attained, but rather being ambitious and optimistically.
Wrapping up the conference, the pledging sessions saw the councillor for Jiboro Ward, Usman Ba, who doubles as the project manager of Stitching Talakoto, the Netherlands, pledge $150,000 worth of sports and health materials.
We want to start with a wad of materials like sporting materials and health materials for 150,000, and then the first materials will start. We are going to start with 50,000, and that has to be in August, and that it will spread. It may be more than 150,000, depending on our collections and then the donors that are coming in.
Our priority area would be strategic priority 5, and that is environment and climate change mitigation and adaptation. Under that, we have activities like raise public awareness through sensitization on climate change activities, encourage regeneration and reforestation through intensive tree planting exercise, etc., and providing training on effects of climate change and food on environmental security. We know the coastal belt of this country is vulnerable to climate change effects. We know Katong is no exception. The entire coastal belt is really vulnerable when it comes to climate change effects. One institution cannot do it alone. So our priority area would be to also support in terms of climate change mitigation. And on behalf of the executive director and the agency, we are hereby pledging $50,000, which would be paid on or before the 31st of December 2021.
Calling for a roadmap regarding the development of Khartoum Ward, Amadou Kinte at the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy and a road safety engineer at the National Road Authority, Bakari K. Mane, reiterated their support towards the endeavor. Zainabu Jang for GRTS News.
And now the community of Banyaka has inaugurated a solar-powered borehole courtesy of Imam Buhari Center for Islamic Studies and Humanitarian Foundation. The borehole is meant to provide clean drinking water to communities in the area. Kadia Tujala has the details.
Imam Buhari Center continues its humanitarian support, providing much-needed boreholes to communities in the Gambia. Banyaka village in Kombo South is the latest beneficiary of their intervention. Yusuf Akoli, an elderly man, and representatives spoke on behalf of the village Alcalo and the village development committee. All expressed gratitude for the support. The women folk of the community equally thanked the Imam Buhari Foundation for the borehole, saying it was much needed. The president and the spokesperson of the Imam Buhari Foundation, Muhammad Ibrahim Sise and Babu Njai, respectively, said the foundation seeks to complement government's efforts in improving the lives and livelihood of people in the country.
So we are here once again in Banyaka to hand over this borehole. This is not our first time to come to Banyaka. If I could remember, this is the second borehole we are handing over to the community of Banyaka. As you can see, this is a new settlement. Water is a problem, most especially those who are just starting to settle in new settlement.
Piaro Njai urged beneficiaries to take ownership of the project and make best use of the facility.
This borehole costs a lot of money. More than $150,000 has been spent here. So what we normally advise is take care of it. This is your own property. Imam Buhari will never come back again to do any maintenance. The maintenance is on your side. So make sure that you make best use of it.
Officials of Imam Buhari Foundation also commended partners such as Rosala Foundation for supporting the humanitarian initiative. Khadijatu Jallo, reporting for GRTS News.
To the Lower River region now, where the Sustainable Land Management Committee has wrapped up a 3-day monitoring of intervention sites under the Dryland Forest Project. The program, funded by the FAO under the Global Environment Facility, is jointly implemented by the Natural Resource Consulting Company, the Department of Forestry and ADWAC. Regional correspondent Alajimbai has the details.
Visits are part of annual activities in the implementation of the 5-year Dryland project. The objective is to avail committee members the opportunity to learn best practices in agriculture and natural resources to ensure land sustainability. The committee visited various intervention sites such as the sisal plantation in Taburankoto, community forest parks, horticulture gardens, beekeeping farms, poultry farms, culverts, cattle trucks, dairy farms and focus stations, as well as water project sites. The chairperson of the committee, Alpha Khan, explains the mandate of the committee and the objectives of the monitoring tour.
The purpose of the forum is to support ANR in the development of policies, implementation of policies which are related to ANR, also supporting stakeholders in their implementation process, organizing monitoring visits to project sites to find out what problems obtained in the project sites, and also to make recommendations to the right authorities so as to ensure that project problems identified are taken care of.
The field coordinator of NACO, Alkali Jajusi, said the tour is crucial in ensuring land sustainability.
You can understand land is limited in this country and land grabbing is going on. So better there are institutions responsible so that they can see sustainable utilization of our land in terms of production. Our negative practices on the land are some of the causes of this land degradation. So from henceforth, this forum is going around in communities trying to see what interventions are there, what are their strengths and what are weaknesses also.
Mr. Jajusi also shared his impression on the level of implementation so far and called on project beneficiaries to ensure its sustainability.
My high point in this overall 3-day visit is the people of Manduar, because when we went there we found out that there is acute water shortage in the vegetable garden, in the women vegetable garden provided by the UNCDF as well as the Department of Community Development and Area Council, Mansakonko Area Council specifically. And then when the team went with a lot of consultation and a lot of stakeholder participation, finally in the second day water was installed at the community garden.
The Commissioner of Police for Lower River Region, Lamin Banda, who is also part of the committee, said such activities are in line with the new approach to national development mapped out by the police.
We try to give our intervention that paradigm shift in the sense that initially police would be in the charge offices waiting for crime and complaints to come their way and then react to situations that unfolds before them. But with the dynamic leadership of the current IGP, we intend to give our intervention a paradigm shift in the sense that we want to leave offices, get closer to community development initiatives, be part of formulating intervention strategies, and then give their intervention that legal and, if possible, security phases.
Several other members of the committee acknowledged the relevance of the activity to their work and assured of the proper implementation of any recommendation made by the team. At various sites, project staff and beneficiaries discussed the successes registered as well as the challenges faced in the implementation of their projects. Alajimbai, GRTS News.
Elsewhere in the Upper River region, commemoration of the Global Parents' Day is underway. The SOS Children Villages, through the Sustainable Nutrition Improvement Project, funded by the European Union, handed over 3 tricycles to 3 communities in Jimara district. The gesture is meant to address the transportation challenges of community members after harvesting their horticultural products, as well as access to health facilities. Our correspondent, Seydou Kamara, reports from Basse.
Presentation of this tricycle to 3 communities in the Jimara district is meant to support them in addressing their transportation challenges. The community support initiative is part of a European Union funded project, dubbed Sustainable Nutrition Improvement, targeting 4 communities, namely Kosemar, Tabajang, Fatako, and Bagadaji in Jimara. The presentation comes amid global commemoration of Parents' Day and the team appreciating all parents throughout the world. According to the project coordinator, Sayo Ture, SOS Children Village have been empowering women in local communities in this area of horticulture through the SOS Sustainable Nutrition Improvement Project.
We have delivered 3 motor tricycles to the 3 communities, Kosemar, Fatago and Tabajang, to ease their mobility services from their products, that's the garden products, to the nearest Lumo or the market service. These are communities that have been engaged in horticultural production for a long time, but they have highlighted numerous constraints. Key among them was access to market, and today we are here to remedy that challenge.
Mr. Ture further noted that the machines will not only ease transport challenges, but also encourage more people, particularly women, to venture into horticultural production.
It is important to note that these tricycles here will not only be used to transport commodities, but knowing Kosemar, especially Tabajang, they are almost 7 kilometers from the highway. That will help them to access even health facilities, help them to ease their movement daily and even at night. And it can support their health delivery services, especially knowing the difficult situation our mothers are facing when they are pregnant. This is something that can address some of those things.
Official challenge beneficiary communities to take proper care of the transportation devices. Representatives of the 3 communities, the person of Moro Sane, Binkeden Sise, and Yero Jao, all thank SOS Children Village for the laudable support, assuring the donors of its durability. This is a significant gesture of support to these communities who have been facing transportation challenges in taking their horticultural produce to markets and even homes. And now that is a thing of the past, thanks to SOS and partners. Seydou Kamara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse, Upper River Region.
Well, time now to take our first break. When we return, we look at how gunmen broke through the gate of a federal government college, killing 1 police officer during exchange fire, and abducted 80 students and 5 teachers in a remote town of Benin, Yauri.
Make your nights as bright as your days with Africell's new night bundle. Your night browsing experience has now been boosted by AfriMoney at the most affordable price. Enjoy the cheapest night bundle in the Gambia and feel the difference in comfort and speed. Activate the night bundle from your AfriMoney account and receive 1 gigabyte of data for $50 is only. Browse, stream, and talk all night long from 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. for only $50. Activate your AfriMoney account by dialing *777# and select Buy Africell Data to choose your night bundle valid for 24 hours. What more could you ask for? This bundle is only available through AfriMoney. Your AfriMoney account, your night browsing. Where Africell goes, nobody dares to follow.
Welcome back. Now we begin in Nigeria, where gunmen have kidnapped at least 80 students and 5 teachers from a school in the state of Kebbi. The attack took place at the federal government college in a remote town of Benin, Yauri. Police say gunmen broke through the gate and went straight to the classes. During a fire exchange, they killed 1 police officer and shot a student. He was receiving medical treatment. Most of the students abducted were girls. Security forces are searching a nearby forest for the abducted students and teachers. The attack is the 3rd mass kidnapping in 3 weeks in northwest Nigeria.
This is becoming a very, very worrying trend. It has become more like a trend now, especially in the northern part of the country. Between 2000 and 2020 and now, as at last count, hundreds of school children have been picked, and this is becoming really worrying. What I can also tell you is that the Commissioner of Police in the state, Adeyinka Adeleke, came out to actually clear the air because there were conflicting reports as to whether it's an entirely girls' school, but he came out and said that, look, it is Federal Government College, Yauri, Benin Yauri, made up of boys and girls. And he was also clear to note that the abductors came on motorcycles, shooting sporadically, and in the course of that, one of his, a policeman was shot, and one other was injured, as other students were also injured. All those who are injured are receiving medical attention in hospital. But honestly, this is becoming, many people, you know, in Kebbi State, and of course in northern Nigeria and the country as a whole, are getting really, really disturbed at what is now gradually becoming what many describe as a trend. Well, this is unclear. It's even unclear yet whether contact has been established with the abductors who came and took away these students, and of course 5 members of staff from Federal Government College Yauri. But I can also say that drawing inspiration from what has happened in the past, let's use Kaduna State, one of the states in northern Nigeria, precisely in northwest Nigeria, where banditry is also really, really high. A lot of ransom has been paid in that state. We had the government saying categorically that it would not pay ransom when students were kidnapped. But of course, parents of these students, you know, bringing in emotions and all of that, put together heads and gathered money to pay ransom, which was in millions of naira. So whether or not ransom will be paid, I can't categorically say what the position of the government will be, but it's very unlikely that even if the government would not pay, parents of these students will just put heads together and see what they will do to have their children back and have them united with them. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that members of the Nigerian Armed Forces should be commended. They've been really working hard to, you know, keep the peace in Nigeria. That's just one. But secondly, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Muhammadu Buhari, was in Borno State yesterday, the epicenter of insurgency in Nigeria, where he gave marching orders to the armed forces to ensure that they address security concerns in the country. So to answer you, that was a very strong directive by the President yesterday. And so we're watching carefully, and we'll be tracking stories to see whether or not the body language of the authorities will, you know, stem the tide of what is gradually becoming, you know, a trend of kidnappings, especially of students in the country.
Well, let's turn to Cote d'Ivoire now, where former President Laurent Gbagbo has returned to the country after spending the past 10 years in the custody of the International Criminal Court. He was eventually acquitted of crimes against humanity charges. His return comes after negotiations between his camp and the current government. Gbagbo was welcomed by his supporters in the commercial capital, Abidjan. CGTN's Astatal has more.
After 10 years in exile, former Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo has returned to Cote d'Ivoire. This comes after the International Criminal Court acquitted him in 2019. He faced charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity for his role in the 2010 Civil War. The war was triggered after Gbagbo refused to leave office and concede defeat to the current president, Alassane Ouattara.
I am glad to be back in Cote d'Ivoire and Africa.
Despite his absence, he has remained an influential figure in Ivorian politics. A number of his loyal supporters were on hand to greet him at the airport. Security forces were deployed in Abidjan, with police firing off tear gas to disperse hundreds of supporters at Abidjan's airport.
He's arrived, it's finished. Tomorrow will be a holiday. He came back, it's finished, it's finished, it's finished.
Gbagbo's return comes after negotiations between his camp and the government of his successor, President Alassane Ouattara. Despite being acquitted by the ICC, Gbagbo still faces a 20-year prison sentence handed in 2019 after being charged with misappropriating funds from the central bank. While President Ouattara said his predecessor was free to return, it is not yet clear if the government will issue a pardon. Astatal, CGTN.
And before we end this newscast, a look at our top stories once again. President Adama Barrow has left Banjul for the 59th ECOWAS Heads of State and Government Summit in Accra, where sub-regional leaders are expected to discuss security issues, the COVID-19 pandemic and regional integration. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure have been discussing means of strengthening relations between Banjul and Ankara. during a courtesy call of the Turkish vice president. Away from home in Nigeria, gunmen have killed at least one police officer and kidnapped 80 students and 5 teachers during attack in a federal government college in a remote town of Benin Yaouré. And former Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo has returned home after 10 years in the custody of the International Criminal Court. Well, that does it for this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company, and do enjoy GRTS for the rest of our programs.
Waiting. I'm so sorry. I was stuck in traffic. You know how the traffic is. How have you been? Looks like you're in a hurry though.
I have this movie that I don't want to miss.
Don't worry. With Afri TV, you can watch your movie anywhere and at any time.
Really?
Download the Afri TV app and watch your favorite TV channels anywhere, anytime.
And I'll show you this application. There are so many channels.
Okay.
Just dial *222# to subscribe and buy special data bundles at a cheaper price. AfriCell makes life easier.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner